The 11th meeting, June 13th. The next one is going to be in 2 weeks, which will be during the OWASP conference, which means that I will not be there. John, you will probably be in Porto, but we'll have to make sure that it happens. So I'll work with Chris or with Aranese to see who can jump in for us. It's good to keep this rhythm of these sessions.
100%.
What do we have for you today? Let's have a look. We have an update by John on the Safety Institute, a demo by Susanna for Draw.io, and for us to briefly touch upon diagram style. Some updates from my side, a proposal by Aranese on organizing work items and structuring teams. Some attention points for us are sort of code of conduct to go through, an update on work items, any other business, and then our priority topic, which is the requirement specifications for the AI Act. Which means that I'll kick off with you, John. Go ahead.
Right. So it's a very slow going process. We got an update from the US ASIC, the consortium there. And the update is that they will announce the task forces in July. They had 770 nominations for only 300 slots. So they're trying to figure out how to make sure that people who are nominated get to be involved, and that we get rosters, we get extended sessions from task force with working groups. But again, you know, the main headline is not all of us will make the nominations, and we will know back in July. I think we should also start, and I had exactly the same update for the top 10 LLM because we're jointly there. We should start our own kind of conversations, and I'll talk about some initiatives there. So that we're prepared, because I think, you know, these are important things. I also emailed and contacted the UK AI Safety Institute for membership for OWASP. They seem to have a very different model, which they're contracting out work for public procurement. And I see Peter is on the call. He may actually have some kind of insights on that too. But they've announced something like 85 million of budget for safety evaluations. And we can see some, I put there the links for people. The May update was quite good, actually, from the UK Institute, and also an inspect tool, which allows you to create evaluations for LLMs, which I think is quite useful. I think, okay, we're seeing your expression there. I think, you know, the whole kind of red teaming evaluations and deepfakes is an area that everyone is kind of focusing on, is the next frontiers, and we should work on guidelines. The top 10 for LLM team started an initiative, they're discussing it, Krishna and Sandy, and I think we shouldn't replicate, we shouldn't fragment, we should get things together and do it jointly. You know, all the work that we're going to do for the ASIC, and until the ASIC comes back, we should start having those conversations. So that's my update, really. Any questions? Did that make sense?
To me, it does. Scope is, I think, an interesting aspect here, because we want to focus on AI security. Of course, there's a connection with AI safety. The way I see it is that the security of a model can be threatened by attacks hurting the integrity of its behavior, which can have unwanted model behavior causing safety issues. So it's, if you discuss safety in terms of AI security, you're discussing impact, which is important to understand because it helps you, for example, to do risk analysis.
And I think Rob, you have something right there. That's why we should start having that conversation anyway, because the ASIC is concerned about safety, is concerned about risk, about everything, whereas our kind of focuses more on security. So us starting this conversation and kind of refining the initiatives that we have jointly with the other groups, we provide that security focus better.
Okay.
And that's me really kind of like, again, we're not very slow process, but we need to start ourselves, because otherwise if we go the next pace, we'll be giving the same update for the next few months.
Yeah, indeed. All
Sorry,
right.
I missed on the call.
Any other points, questions for John?
Very happy there.
Hey, Peter.
I think the last thing of that, John, is if that is kicking off, just let us know. Happy to contribute, because that is what we do.
I think with you're very active in the UK at least, and I don't know your kind of participation in ASIC, so it'd be fantastic to have you on those working groups.
Okay, cool. All right, John. Thanks.
Guys.
Susanna, could you show us the beauty of Draw.io? I actually never worked with it, but it's supposed to be great.
I'm trying to, oh, there it is. Yeah, give me 1 second, please.
Sure.
And I'm going to figure out how to share my screen in Zoom. I did this last time and it worked. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Oh, there it is on the bottom. My bad.
I was going to distract them, but you're ready. Carry on.
Okay. All right.
I can fix this in post.
Oh, interesting. It labels it, it gives its own numbers for the desktops. That's okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. Let me see. That looks right. Can everyone see my screen? Can anyone see my screen? Okay, excellent.
Yes, we see.
All right, so I'll just go ahead and give you a brief overview for Draw.io. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but this is the main tool that I use, and it is pretty much the only one that I've used. So if I'm saying something that every other tool does, that's my bad, but I'm going to tell y'all the reasons why I like using this. So one, it's really easy to collaborate and share. This just opens up out of Google Drive. You can add this to your Google Drive. It's really simple, just as an app. So we could put this in our Google, and then everyone could collaborate on drawings. I didn't want to have my Google Drive up in the recording, so I'm just starting out with, this is the start screen that you get. And you can see here on this little scroll area, they have a number of templates that you can use. I've actually never used those because I just go to the blank diagram and tell it to create one. So this is the process where you start it. And right now I have it on dark mode. There's also a light mode if you prefer that. If anyone has a preference for what would be easier for you to see during this demo, let me know, but I keep it on dark mode because that's easy for me. So let's see, I'm going to do general and then apply. So it'll have little drop downs here, and then you can have more shapes that you can add. You can also search the shapes. And there's all sorts of extra things that are less basic. So if you want to add, a database or a cooler looking database or any number of little graphic elements, you can do so here. This is why I like this. Also, before I do this, let me go ahead and show you. I do not know a better way to size things in Draw.io. Others might, but there is this page view, which you can select and deselect. For the most part, since I'm usually working with really big architecture drawings, I have that off. But I thought one of the advantages of PowerPoint was that all of the drawings were the same standard size so that they would render well on the website. I feel like that might be easier for some folks to handle, or whoever is doing our web mastering. So this might be a good workaround for that if we use the page view. And if anyone knows a better one, that's totally fine. Measuring the squares, I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert user. So here we go. This is why I like this, because it is super duper easy to connect shapes and align things. You can just click and it automatically magnetically connects to things. I can move this around and the connection will more or less automatically follow it. I can change the shape of this arrow. I can make it have arrows on both ends if I want. You can literally change the thickness of it and the character of it, like whether it's dotted or not. All types of things if you want it to be indicative of, I don't know, whatever type of architecture or flow you're trying to illustrate. You can also, I'm going to turn this on light mode so that people can see, because this is how it'll render. You can delete things really easily, and you can select and then change the style of them. You can make it have a neat gradient. And then there's all kinds of other different ways that you can affect these. It's also really easy to select things and change them all at once if you want, and you can select all or a part of a drawing and change your connectors. You could select all of the connectors, for example. If I want to copy this entire drawing, I can select it. Now say I want to duplicate it, but I want to change it a little bit. I have a couple of options. I can duplicate this drawing, and then I have a whole other copy where I can just start working on it and changing it here. And this is really neat, I think, for versioning, especially when you have a lot of people working on the same thing. The other option is that I can just make a new window and bam, paste it. Super easy to use, and this is why I like it. And then this is what I use for all of my papers and drawings, because then you can do neat things like adding shadows and stuff like that. And I spent way too much time drawing in this for everything that I do. And then once you're ready to download it, you can save it any number of ways. There's a number of ways to export it. I usually do it as a JPEG or something. And this is where you can choose to have your border larger if you want, depending on what you need. And you can have it, well, oh, cool, you can have it in dark too. I've never even done that. So I'm learning as I'm showing all this. And then you can apply the shadow here if you want. It's super neat. Very easy to use, in my opinion. Those are the main, I guess, highlights of it. And again, I really love that you can just add another page down here, because we can have one file in many different versions. I could see scenarios where we're voting on versions, or we have one that's for collaboration and then we version them off, that sort of thing. The other neat thing about this that I want to point out, and then I'll stop, is that once we have all of these little assets designed and we have the colors the way that we want them, it's super easy to just copy and paste them, or duplicate a page and then alter it a little bit or something like that. So that's why I like draw.io. And if I've forgotten anything, or if anybody knows any other features, I would love to hear about it. Are there any questions that I can answer? And I can't really see you, so you're gonna.
Can I? Is this owned by Google, or?
It's an independent thing. I don't know if they have bought them, but it's really ubiquitous. You know, Susanna, where I work, developers and architects use it like we use Notepad, and it's very easy to start it on the web. So that's, but it's a company used to call something diagrams.net, and then they changed themselves to Draw.io. But it really is, you know, and it has integrations also with Google, for instance, Docs, and the power that brings, and sorry, Rob, I've taken over your question there. The power that brings is the libraries. And so something that you will see, unfortunately, after the 27th of July, when the book comes out, but it will be free, is I used it to create a library for threat modeling with the AI Exchange stuff, so that people, you know, can drag and drop some of the stuff that we have as they do diagrams there. And therefore, you know, it's not going to kind of make the world much safer, but it's a kind of a nice way to do it, and it just shows the power of the tool. So I'm being your biggest salesman here, Susanna. I'll stop.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's way more ways to use this that I don't even know about, because I haven't even, like, it's got all these neat little like symbols and all kinds of other things you can add. This is my go-to user. You can, well, I didn't mean to change the shape of them, but there's all types of shapes of users that you can add. And look at this. This is just neat.
Cloud. If you're doing AWS diagrams, we'll give you that. But again, I'm taking over, and I think Aaron is just have his hand up there.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is another feature that is useful, especially for the real-time collaboration. When you're editing together at the same time, I think that's something is important for larger teams where you're like trying to brainstorm doing whiteboarding. So this becomes very effective. Like the Zoom and other stuff which supports whiteboarding, I think are not very effective in that one. This kind of makes it very seamless. You don't even have to share the screen.
Cool.
Totally, that's a good idea. I've actually never thought of doing it that way. It's nicer than Miro or something like that. For someone like me who appreciates technical diagrams, I like this a lot.
Thanks, Susanna, for demoing this. And I guess we need to sort of set up a template or sort of a standard Draw.io sheet that people can reuse. I need to look into how you do this, and from there we can standardize on drawing. I guess with some guidelines with regards to choosing font size and font types, etc. And then we can have the same look across the exchange. All right. Any things to add to Draw.io? If not, let's pick up where we were. So these are some of the elements. The right is from Susanna's work on federated learning. The left is the stuff that we have in the exchange. I mean, we just have to standardize on thickness of arrows and font choices and distances, and that's it. I'll make sure that happens. Okay, on to my update. As you know, we are working on requirement specification, making specific requirements for AI security instead of giving a lot of controls that can work. This is necessary for the AI Act, and the biggest thing I think in AI security going on right now, focusing on Sentinel JTC 21 Workgroup 5, for which I'm part. And I'm happy to report that in the previous week, the group was in Bath. I was one of the people who were remote. I proposed our requirement specification as is. And even though there was some criticism about its many holes and incompleteness and some detailed issues, people saw this as the way forward. And that's a major breakthrough, because in this group, there are many experts in many countries represented, and it's always hard to find consensus. But after sharing this on the ISO platform, I was really anxious about the response, but there was a unanimously positive response, which is great. Currently, this work group is in a state where it cannot make progress formally. Long story. This is because the work item that needs to work on has a scope and a title, and that needs to go into ballot, needs to be voted on by the many different countries. And in order not to pollute that ballot, we cannot work formally, but we can work informally, which is why I set up an informal discussion with some of the members of that group working on the Google Doc, and I will share back and forth our work on the requirement specifications and the work within this group. I'm not sure if the group is ready for me to introduce a selection of the AI Exchange into it. It's already takes some getting used to by these experts, the way that we're working right now. But maybe there comes such a moment that I sense that there's comfort in combining these groups. So then we would be working informally with people in the Workgroup 5 and people from the AI Exchange as sort of one integrated team. Pretty cowboy stuff, but it's legal and everybody thinks it's okay. So let's do it. No news from ISO 27090. We submitted 78 pages of content from the AI Exchange, and we're waiting for a comment resolution session, which is hopefully going to take place in July. By the way, right after the summer in August, Workgroup 5 can pick up work again, then the ballot has ended. And the deadline for the content is November. So good luck to us and to them and the world for setting an AI security standard in November. pretty daunting timeline. So that's the AI Act and ISO. Anecdotally, I see a lot of people using the AI Exchange. Sony sent a message that they're using it a lot. So yeah, we're getting some fan mail, mostly on LinkedIn, people who show appreciation and say that they actually use it. And this is not just some part of Sony, this is actually, the AI group. Pretty cool. Chris is getting slowly back on his feet after some things. And happy to hear that happy to see that you're here, Chris, which means that soon Chris can pick up onboarding people who have applied to be part of the authors group. I expect some new people to come in because of that process, so that's nice to look forward to. Nicholas did something great. He submitted a paper that discusses about the influence of the AI Exchange on AI security standardization. It got accepted. I love that initiative. I welcome everybody to to endeavor on things like this, spread the word, but also use the AI Exchange a bit, to provide content to your network, to your stakeholders, to your peers. Which brings me to something related. Aranish brought up that OWASP San Francisco is coming up. The deadline for it is July. I will not be able to go. I have a holiday when that happens. Aranish proposed perhaps suggesting a panel. And I think that is possible. And I love that idea because of our, connecting role that we have in the industry and also in OWASP. I would like to open the floor for any ideas on this. People who want to pick this up, maybe Aranish, some more details on your panel ideas or on OWASP San Francisco in general, please.
I think I can have others share first, and then I can share my 2 cents on this one.
Is there anybody? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Is there anybody who intends to go to visit? You are.
Me. Go. Yeah, I wanna do anything because I get to go now. So yeah, I would love to be a part of anything that we do there.
I would love to go, but I couldn't because of visa issues.
Really?
I have to, yes, I have to go to embassy and tell them that I won't go there, and it takes normally I think 1.5 years that I get a visa.
Sorry to hear.
I typically attend all OWASP events, so I'll definitely be there.
And Aaron, are you thinking of a panel within OWASP or a panel with people outside OWASP to discuss the state of AI and how AI Exchange, perhaps, I'm just thinking aloud now, brings things together and all that? You're just curious. Or will it be more similar to what you guys did at the RSA?
I think it's a combination of both. One is internal. I think we can actually have 2 submissions based on what get accepted. We can actually tailor it to both sides. One could be internal to OWASP. What's happening? What is the strategy? And the second one would be more external facing, where you have like people from outside, like from CSA, ISO and stuff, right? They come together and talk about how is the work that's happening at OWASP helping them standardize and bring out more and more aspects in the regulation itself. So it can be both ways. And panel could be one option. We can also explore presentations. We can have like 1 or 2 submissions on specific sections, like red teaming could be one specific thing that we can actually talk about. And in fact, there is another conference that's coming up in September called September, which is in Seattle. So I spoke to Ken Huang. He suggested to create some sort of a workshop. So even for the OWASP San Francisco, we can do something similar.
Yeah. And we're working with the guys, you mentioned Ken, we're working with the LLM top 10 guys so that we don't do dual events, we do them together, right?
Yeah, I think that's key to take in consideration. I also could probably be able to support the time frame, and I think it's good to maybe pull together the group panel and then make a plan as far as, you know, what is it that we would like to present and kind of go forth and conquer. It's a good idea.
Yeah, free for all. May the best win. No, it's so I like that idea. Everybody should try. We do need some alignment because we might, you know, submit two things that are quite identical, and we could divide and conquer in the sense that if we have 10 different ideas, it might even lead to two submissions that get accepted on AI security, right?
I think this is where actually, Aaron, that's why I asked the question and all that. I think, you know, a panel would be really nice to kind of bring people together, but I think having a session that highlights the value of AI Exchange, or even a workshop, you know, I don't know, I'm just thinking aloud again, that would be, you know, that would complement it very nicely. And the idea is that, you know, we don't appear to be, you know, all over the place, but at the same time, you know, we don't get absorbed into the overall picture.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, when it's finished and as it's getting completed, I would like to talk about the gap analysis. I don't know if anybody else thinks that's a good idea or not, but I think it's kind of cool. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'll make a post on Slack. Please respond to it with your ideas on what you feel would be super cool to this audience. Please realize that obviously these are typically application security professionals who mostly are keen on learning something for their daily practice, right? So it can be specific. I mean, it could be something like federated learning, for example, Susanna, of which you know a lot about, is I think would be too specific, right, for this audience. Red teaming, that's more broad in the sense of a topic for AppSec professionals. For AI, that would be a cool one. But we can also submit one that basically is sort of a quick course in the entirety of the AI exchange, specific for application security professionals, what you really need to know. I mean, we got the material, but we need to start with the stuff that us as individuals would find cool to talk about.
Yep.
I'll open up that discussion on Slack. And thanks, Aranice, for pointing this out. If nothing more about this, let's move to the new risk table. I posted this on Slack. Let me show it to you guys. It's this thing. It's basically the security matrix that we already have with all the risks here in column B, or threats, whatever you want to call them, with the attack surface. I combined a number of columns here to make it smaller, and with the controls in there. So things like detecting odd inputs, adversarial, detecting adversarial input, training adversarial, so all the controls concentrated. This is an alternative way of showing this, the navigator, where we have different categories, like, for example, controls against threats through runtime use, evasion, there's D controls, and these controls are generic for use. This is an elegant way of presenting it, because you only have to present once that monitoring and rate limiting can help for all threads through use. But if you look at one specific thread, it may be difficult for some readers to understand that these controls and these controls also are applicable, which is why I came up with this very simple idea of just with a thread, have all the controls grouped by why they are there. So the first line is these controls are sort of generic threads through use controls, and these controls are specific for evasion attacks. I think this could be very helpful for people who have some difficulty, depending on their use case in their mind, I guess, to work with a navigator, and put this as an interactive table on the AI Exchange where we turn all these controls into links, or a PDF like the navigator that is clickable. So I'm just interested in your feedback, ideas on how and if we should publish this as part of the Exchange.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm in support.
In what form? Interactive PDF, HTML table?
Yeah, I think the navigator is, like you said, the visual aspects I think are pretty impactful.
Do you mean that we then should publish this as a PDF?
I think it would be a good idea. Yeah, as PDF.
Good starting point too. You know, I agree with you, Dan. The navigator that we have is one of the most impactful tools there. So,
yeah, it's surprising that we need something like this then in addition. But I think we all agree that we do need it. I see no objections or people who are rolling their eyes back. Okay, I'll make a proposal on how to make this look and share it with you guys. Going back, yes, we need a website tech lead. Now, we're using a platform called Hugo, which is pretty automatic. You update something on GitHub, it publishes it. I know that we are looking at an idea brought in by our niche on using WordPress as an alternative. Before we seek this website tech lead, we need to look, of course, into that alternative. Why we need one right now? It's not daily work, but it's mostly if something's broken. Recently, something was broken in Hugo and we couldn't update. Marco, responded promptly and fixed the problem, but we cannot depend on just Marco for this. So I guess because we're dealing with that risk right now, we need to prioritize looking at WordPress. I think you reached out to Scott, I believe, Aranish, about this.
Yeah, because the LLM has transitioned to WordPress almost like a month ago, and it looks very slick, and it's very easy to manage.
Yeah, and it also includes collaboration, right? So, but no longer based on GitHub.
Yeah.
But the thing is that LLM Top 10 is a different beast, right? It's more.
we still use, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. We still, being on my other hat, the LLM Top 10, we still use GitHub for pull requests for the work that we do in the standards. But the new site is for kind of, if you like, your brochure, the publication and blogging. So for instance, I'm going to do a blog for a standards alignment work. It's kind of Scott send me a link where I can go there and I can type in and then go through the editorial review and presses a button and gets published. So it's more for publishing channel.
Got it. All right.
What's really nice
And-
is before we had, sorry, just say before we had this custom website and things were kind of getting lost and everything, whereas now it seems to be kind of more.
And just I did like a quick, not Google, but ChatGPT on this one. I think there are plugins available for GitHub which can feed into WordPress. This is not something I've done, but it seems the functionality is definitely there.
I'd like to know more. Aaron, can you bring me into contact with people who can elaborate?
I'm like, I can definitely do. They would not be part of this particular forum, and I actually use services by somebody who sits outside of US to help me with my own website on WordPress. I'll try to engage into some sort of a conversation and try to see if we can actually make something happen.
So I appreciate that idea, and we should do it. We should also talk with the LLM top 10 people who made this decision and sort of evaluate the pros and cons. It's for publishing, but it's also for publishing their content. So there is apparently a way to go from the GitHub content to the website. And I know that the LLM top 10 releases in releases, but we don't. We have sort of continuous delivery, and I'd like to keep that.
I think that's what I would say to you, Ranji, is decide first what is that you want out of WordPress. WordPress is fabulous technology. It has 300 plus thousand, I would say, plugins. What is that we will need it for? You know, what's the need that's coming to address? Have a demo. Ask Scott to give you a demo of how we do. You know, we create PDFs on, and Aaron can.
Yeah.
You know, we create PDFs, we publish them there. We have that kind of workflow. In AI Exchange, we have a different workflow. I think where it could add is the collaboration side of publishing different blogs and artifacts and all that. Doesn't necessarily have to go through GitHub, but even, you know, through GitHub, as Aaron said, there are plugins and solutions that allow you to publish it to a broader audience.
Okay, I'll reach out to Scott, Aaron, and we'll keep in touch about this. That's about the website tech lead. Moving to Aranish about Tiger Teams, a proposal, an idea, please.
Oh, thank you, Rob. So I think based on maybe the last meeting or maybe the meeting before that one, I think there is a like a post that came from Rob on Slack channel about AI Act. And I was thinking about this few functional areas that I'm kind of helping, whether it's for the promotion or for the step-by-step guide. And one of the things I realized that there are not, I'll probably use the word consistency in terms of getting input from people for various reasons, right? Because first of all, it's a voluntary role, right? Nobody's getting paid for this. Interest could vary. And what I was thinking, and again, this is something I've executed or helped Department of Homeland Security, CISA, in an initiative that I've been part of, is creating a Tiger team. Tiger team would be basically a set of individuals out of, say, 100 people. Maybe we cherry pick maybe 10 people who definitely can devote time consistently, like week after week. We meet consistently, make sure the functional areas, whether it's for events or it's for red teaming or it's something to do with research, is progressing with their sub teams. For example, let's say in the red teaming, Behnaz and maybe like four others are working together, but out of those 5 people, we would probably identify one person who's part of the Tiger team, ensuring group like progress is happening on a consistent basis, right? Whether it's weekly or a bi-weekly, the timeline is not important. What is important is the progress that needs to be made. And if there are some impediments, let's say I'm dependent on promotion or I'm dependent on research, for example, I know who the lead for that particular thing is. Not reaching out to all 5 people, but maybe reaching out to one specific person in that team. And we kind of huddle up regularly to ensure we are definitely making the progress, right? So I think for the Tiger team, A few of the advantages and few benefits would be around like establishment of specific due dates. Let's say AI Act comes in and we need to deliver something in the next 1.5 months. All the people from the Tiger team kind of talk about that one and ensure like if there is specific work item that needs to be done in that specific functional area, it kind of gets internalized in that specific functional area, and they talk. And the lead comes in and reports on a weekly basis what's happening, where things are stuck. It needs to be specialized, and again, like not everybody should partake in the Tiger team if they have work commitments and don't have the bandwidth. That's one specific thing around the Tiger team. It needs to be a dedicated people who can actually definitely take out half an hour to maybe 2 hours every single week and then deliver on things. Again, regular meetings and dynamic team engagement is going to be important. Let's say we establish a cadence of meeting every week. We pick up a day, maybe Thursday or a Friday. We meet for like 30 minutes, talk about the progress in, say, X number of functional areas, and we make progress. And I think it can also help with setting milestones. Let's say there is a milestone, let's say end of July, for example, for AI Act. I'm just taking an example. We set a drop dead date that it needs to be delivered, and then we start planning in reverse. To deliver this, these are like 5 different things needs to happen. And what is my critical path? So we can actually do some program management, project management stuff, and do like backward planning on that one. Yeah, I think like that's the intent of the Tiger team, why it's important, how it can help, and in at least 3 organizations have used it and definitely seen the progress, especially in case of IEEE or maybe CISA or this one. Most of the people coming in are volunteers, not like a paid professionals.
Please go on, people, and share your thoughts and opinions with Aranis. I need to go to the door to open for UPS.
So I think if anybody has inputs, comments, critique, just
quick start. I think it's a great idea. I think overall as a group we need cadence, and we don't have cadence. I think that would bring cadence in kind of what's happening. I think an area that I would be keen not to penalize is kind of people go through life with peaks of availability and time where they don't have availability. So I wouldn't like it to be so that, only people who are out of work, for instance, or have plenty of time can contribute. So, we can have the Tiger team, but allow people also to come in and out of it. But otherwise, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think I agree on this one, right? But I think some consistency, let's say out of 10 people, 6 are meeting every single week. And of course, you can have work meetings and stuff. Like, for example, I had a meeting with Rob half an hour before something came up, and I was able to actually shift it half an hour before. So I think flexibility definitely needs to be there.
Okay, then it will, as I said, it will bring kind of cadence that is very hard to get in voluntary organizations.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and especially picking a subset of teams to focus on specific deliverables. So I think it's a good idea if we can establish a cadence and then make sure we commit those deliverables and deliver them. I think the first point which you mentioned, Avnish, some of the Agile or the Scrum or Kanban practices would be very useful here.
Sorry, was that a question or sorry, I have some construction happening at home. I missed the last 2 seconds.
No, I just made a comment. The first point which you have mentioned here, some of the best practices from the Agile practices such as Scrum or Kanban could be very useful here to establish this cadence and bring the team together every single week and focus on certain specific deliverables.
Precisely. I think that's the intent, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I think there is a next slide which talks about few functional areas. And I think Rob and I were like talking about this one an hour ago. I think broader areas of focus are all these, right? I think you can read through, but I think the intent is to say, let's say there are like 12 items in this. We kind of bucket them into a few functional areas. Let's say it's for operations or admin. The second is around research. Third could be is around regulations or legal and stuff. So we bucket them in logical pieces and then identify who from the team can actually step into those particular things. And based on their experience or expertise, they can actually help progress some of these functional areas. Like for me, for example, the events, promotion, a little bit of like partnerships is very logical, step by step to a certain extent. But I think there are a few other folks who are like SMEs in their respective areas, like Dennis would lead the legal or the legislation. I'm just throwing some ideas where you can actually start thinking about it.
I can carry on doing the standards alignment because I did for LLM, and I have connections and support to various types.
Yeah. So I love the idea. Thanks, Aranish, for bringing this up. It makes the assignment of the assigning of responsibilities a bit less loose and a bit less ad hoc, which means that we also need to see in a team who are willing and able to take on these responsibilities by having one-on-one conversations, and that has to be carefully selected and designed. Let's work together, Aranish, on detailing those domains. We'll discuss them in the group and start the conversation. Who wants to onboard as taking on responsibility for that, for the progress in that group. Be the contact person at least. Make sure that there is some progress. It requires some commitment, of course, which can be transferred. If you have a busy period, you can transfer to somebody else. We need to keep that flexibility. Life and work, happens, but also we need to make progress here. So let's detail those domains and bring them to the group to validate and to fill in the blanks. Thanks a lot. I'm looking at the time. We have 6 minutes. We can't fix the AI Act in 6 minutes. I wish we could, but there are some points I'd like to bring to the table. This is our regular list of attention points and code of conduct. I added something to the list, which is this one here. We focus on what is AI specific and we minimize conventional material. So if we write a piece on information security management system, for example, we don't go describe that management system again. There's already a lot of material out there. We will describe what is specific for AI. And of course, we need to touch on some aspects of the ISMS to put it in its context. But we sometimes fall into the trap of writing down a certain approach that is already familiar for many. And we should focus on what is AI specific. That's important attention points. Of course, always use suggest and review mode because of the limitations of Google Doc. People are doing that right now, and I love it. I want to report on work items, things that were done. I divided the impacts that we describe into disrupt, deceive, and disclose. These are 3 different attack goals that are very helpful in the taxonomy of impact. Added a nice reference to a legal resource, Fisher, very useful addition. Of course, every time that we see a valuable resource, we can consider adding it to the AI Exchange references. I elaborated a bit about how about privacy. I also added a thing that continuous validation may seem nice, but it doesn't. typically help you to validate against triggers in poison samples. I integrated the work of Owen and Dan, great contributions, posted on LinkedIn about it. Also, Dan's work on data quality control was integrated. Just as Susanna's references, thanks again, Dan. There are further contributions by mostly Dan that are in the backlog, but also some stuff that needs to be just reviewed, I think, by the mathematical team. I have some time reserved first week of July to integrate those things in the exchange. Again, Susanna can really use help in the NIST gap analysis. I know you can do it on your own easily, but it would be good to have some reflection. So again, a call to reach out to Susanna to help her. And if not, my hopes are on the new joiners who would be eager to pick up something. But if you're keen on looking with Susanna at the work by NIST on the taxonomy and look at the gaps and see how we need to deal with them, report them back to NIST, but also perhaps accommodate some of the differences into the way we define our taxonomy, reach out to Susanna, please. Some statuses that I would like to know about, but because of the time, I want to focus on the people who are present here. Nif, I know you were keen on looking at development program and the security of the development program. Did you get to that already?
Yeah, I get to it, and I think I'm about actually even like to finish it really closely. I also took some if you saw the new addition to the SSDF of NIST, the AI life cycle. So I also made sure that we cover also some of the areas and the topics there, because I know that there are a lot of discussion about this area as well, and I think that they're highly connected to each other. So I thought it would be a great opportunity.
Fantastic.
But yeah, 100% on that. And by the way, guys, I also I'm not sure this is why I didn't say it before, but I also might be in the States in mid-July, and if yes, I'll do my best to join as well.
Oh, for San Francisco, you mean?
Yep.
Ah, okay. I'll note you, and then I'll tag you in the message. Thanks a lot, Nif. Nice to hear about progress there. Benas, what can you report on the status of red teaming? I know you're working on multiple things, but I'm particularly interested in that one because it relates very much also to the AI Act work.
Yes, actually, we are working on tools for the red teaming, and next week I have a meeting with Amir, and we want to review all the documents, and we try to send to you the first draft, actually what we did. And so I try to somehow find a relationship between actually my atlas and our top 10 LLM with the attacks, actually, and with the tools. That somehow I have to think about it. How can I arrange them and find a useful, actually, somehow picture or somehow navigation to it?
Can you elaborate on why you need this taxonomy access for the red team work? Can't you suffice with the threat model that we have in the exchange?
I didn't get you, sorry.
Yes, I guess can I ask it in a different way?
Okay.
It's interesting because every time people talk about red teaming, they talk about LLMs and everything. Is our efforts focusing on LLMs, or are we saying, well, this is red teaming, this is the threat model from AI Exchange, and that's how we do red teaming to address those threats? Or are we focusing, because what I've heard is you're taking my atlas, which is a fantastic place to start, and you're focusing on an LLM threat, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be about the same scope, Benas, as the AI Exchange, which includes LLMs. But so you see that those red teaming tools are focusing on different different realms. But so evasion attack tools are just as interesting as prompt injection test tools. yeah, we need to keep this broad view. And I realized we couldn't touch on the other work items, but I am happy about the things that we could cover today. If there's anything that you run into or you would like to share about your particular work item, please do it on Slack. I will also continue the discussion about the requirement specification and the AI Act there. So let's convene virtually there. Also, if you're running into any impediments in your work, and yeah, that's it. Any final remarks before we close up?
Great stuff.
All right, then let's wrap up. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you on Slack.
Bye
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
Cheerio.